Yes, I am.
So, just, answer the questions based on your experiences.
My name is Charlene Roach. And my parents, both of my parents are Jamaican. I am Jamaican American. I was born in Chicago, Illinois. Then we moved to Texas, and then I moved to Louisiana for college, and that's where I'm currently still at.
Okay. What was your experience growing up? How was it like for you? Based on just, how you grew up.
In terms of everyone else, I think I was growing up pretty much the same. I didn't know that there was anything different with how I or my family was sort of like how my family was raising me. Food-wise,
that's actually a question.
A question?
Yeah,
okay.
You don't have to go into that.
Okay. Well, I don't know. Just
pretty normal.
Yeah. Really normal.
See, like, for example, like for me, I don't know, but growing up, since I'm Nigerian, I just thought every other Black person was like me. Like, I just thought everyone was like African. And then as I started growing and going to school, people were like, oh, you're from this place, and you're from that place. And I was like, yeah. And then I kind of realized, oh, that's when I kind of started to realize it's not just, people don't just come from one place. We come from, many other places. Next question. How did you, growing up as Jamaican American, how did that in any way affect your childhood growing up? Like the positives, the negatives, school-wise, friends, stuff like that.
Negatives I remember is just always feeling different from my Black peers. So I personally didn't think I was any different than anybody else, but it was because other Black peers would comment on certain stuff about my mannerisms or how I would talk. Oh, you talk really proper for, a black kid, or, and I never understood, or you act very white, and I didn't understand why or where that was coming from, because in my mind, like, I was just being me. I was being Charlene. I'm Black, so I feel like I was acting Black. Like, I was not actively trying to act like something else. So when I got these comments, that was very confusing to me. And then as I got older, it's like I knew my parents were Jamaican, but it didn't click in terms of culture or how I grew up until Black Americans started saying I was different, and then it made sense as to why, I don't have the slang that a typical Black American has, because my parents didn't grow up with that slang because their country doesn't have that slang. Me talking the way I talk is not because I was acting white. It was just a result of where my parents are from and their culture. So that was definitely a negative, because I always felt like an outsider to Black people, and I did not understand why, because it's like, I know I'm Black. Like, I don't understand why you guys keep making a distinction on why I'm different. What pie was, or we don't eat this, or we don't eat that, and it was just like, girl, I was just like, no, my family doesn't do that. Well, why? That's weird. And I'm like, I don't know. It's just my family. Like, but I wasn't connecting it to my parents being Jamaican until I was older. But positives, I mean, I don't know much positives of when I was growing up, because I did not look at my parents and was like, ooh, y'all are Jamaican. It was just, they're my parents, my parents, this is my family. But now that I'm older, I mean, the positives are, I get to go to Jamaica. I have family in Jamaica. That's another culture that I'm exposed to. Another, just like, I think, another way to look at the world. just brings more understanding for me as a person, and I can draw from different, experiences and contexts because I have that other culture there. So,
are there any specific things growing up as a Jamaican that kind of stuck with you till now that you feel like your American peers probably wouldn't understand, or what struggles that they might have not possibly gone through as like a first generation? And also what are some things that you felt like were probably I don't know if toxic is the word, but something that pretty much what were experiences that you didn't like growing up as a Jamaican?
okay. I'm going to touch on the second question first. I think the struggles, I think the one that just comes first to my brain is the American school system. My parents did not grow up in the American school system. Therefore, they had a hard time connecting and relating to my experiences and what I was going through. The homework that I had, it was just really hard for them to connect and help me out through that. But the one that I can most distinctly remember is college. Not like my peers, I do not have a line of family that is coming from JFK University as their alma mater. My parents don't have an alma mater. I'm not coming from a history and that may be like a Black experience to an extent, but specifically when your parents are immigrants, it's an added level, because applying for college, I solely had to get help from my counselor. And if I didn't get help from my counselor, I was just out of luck. Like, my parents looked at me and told me, we didn't grow up here, we don't know, we haven't had to apply to college here, so we are so sorry, but we cannot help you. And I am the first child, so I just had to figure it out on my own and do the research and talk to other people. And not every Black American has that experience, at least maybe their parents grew up in the American school system, so they understand the homework, the classes. I mean, things of elementary school, middle school, high school, that's named differently, in Jamaica. It's, secondary school and primary school, the names are different, the homework's different, and that was definitely a struggle. A third question you asked, like, what negatives?
Things that might have been traumatic, like some certain rules that your parents enforced or instilled growing up that you kind of felt like, ooh, I wish that might have been something that I didn't have to go through growing up.
No, I don't think there was nothing extreme, nothing that would relate to them being Jamaican, just regular kid parent stuff, but nothing that relates to their ethnicity, no.
All right. What are things that you love about being Jamaican?
It's weird because I'm sort of just now connecting with the identity. Back to your other question, I think the one thing that I did not like that my parents did was they said that I knew they were Jamaican, but they never put that identity onto me. It was always, you are American, Charlene. You're not Jamaican, you're American, you're American, you're American. You and your sister, you're American. So growing up, hearing that for years, I took it. I'm American. So when people would ask me, and it's like, oh yeah, my parents are Jamaican. So they're like, oh, so you're Jamaican American. I'm like, no, I'm American. And I said that stuff for years until I came to college, which was 6 years ago, 5.5. Until I went to college, I was just like, I'm American, because that is what my parents, they removed me from the Jamaican identity. And looking back on it, that wasn't smart or right, just because while I don't have the cultural experiences of like living in Jamaica, I'm not just a typical Black American either. Like, you guys raised me based off of your culture, which is Jamaican. So you just saying that I'm solely American wasn't right, because I'm not just American. Americans don't know what oxtail is and curry goat and no, okay? So just no. So I had a reason to bring that up, and that was based off of your next question. Could you please repeat it? I'm sorry. Positives? Did you say positive? I don't remember.
Yes. What do you love?
So because I'm just not connecting with the identity, I got to college and everyone was like, I mean, you're Jamaican American. Literally, your genes are Jamaican. And I was like, you're right. I started just asking my parents some questions, doing my own research, because I love researching and educating myself. So I think what I love is that sort of a laid back, just cool people vibe of you're just chilling, got the wind in your hair, sun on your face. It's just not trying to start problems, no drama. It's just laid back and cool. I love the food of the culture. Not that I grew up too much eating it, because I was a picky eater, but now that I'm older and I've just changed my taste buds.
You're like, ooh, why didn't I eat this?
Yes. Oh yes. I'm definitely like, give me the food. Give me the food. I want to try it. I'm not going to be so in this time because I'm not a kid no more. So bring it on. I love the actual vibes of the island. They are resilient AF, strong, and they're very family oriented. Just stick together. So
I have to say, that's one of my dream destinations to go to. And I love y'all's food. I feel like it's one of my favorite,
Oh yeah.
And I love y'all's music. All right, so the next question actually is, what is your favorite Jamaican dish that you think like other people should try?
I want to say
Dish, food, whatever.
Yeah, for me, it's probably just gonna be like 2 foods. I love me a Jamaican patty. I swear by it. I love it. It is the Jamaican fast food. So a Jamaican. It's just ground beef, seasoned ground beef. In different cultures, like in Hispanic culture, it's an empanada. Like here, it's a meat pie. So it's just.
In Nigeria, it's a meat pie. It's literally called meat pie, but we put vegetables in it. We put green peas, sometimes onions. It depends on who's making it. But the first time I heard about like your Jamaican patty, I was like, this is literally a Nigerian meat pie.
Yeah. And you don't realize that until you start talking to other people that we're all kind of eating the same things. We just call it something different and we just season it differently. No, we don't put vegetables in ours. It's just you change up the meat. So you can have the ground beef version, which is like the regular standard. Now you got chicken, shrimp. Yeah. I don't know if I'm going to be that adventurous.
My mom has before. She's put chicken in it. I personally don't really like it that much. I'd rather have the ground beef. I feel like ground beef like fits that type of stuff better.
Yeah. So for me, Jamaican patty and then jerk chicken. The seasoning and the flavors are on point. If you haven't tried it, you got to get
I have.
Chicken. Oh yes. Oh, I know you have, and they have to.